two Venezuelan fighter jets actually flew over a U.S. Navy ship.
If they do put us in a dangerous position, they'll be shot down.
Two Venezuelan F-16 knifed past a U.S. destroyer in international waters, and the Pentagon did not mince words, highly provocative. The date is September 4th, and the backdrop is a quiet U.S. buildup of ships, jets, and Marines across the Caribbean. This was a signal, not a sightseeing pass. Caracas is testing the edge of the rules, while Washington is showing it can move fast, stay legal, and keep pressure without firing a shot. Venezuela's F-16s are older Block 15 airframes that hit hardest at close range, which means every low pass carries more risk than noise. The U.S. answer is depth and reach, with destroyers on patrol, a missile cruiser in support, a nuclear submarine you will not see, and F-35s in Puerto Rico, ready to cover the sky on short notice. One short pass can bend a shipping lane, rattle planners, and shift talking points in two capitals. So here is the plan for this report. We lock the facts and the law. We map the jets. We count what is truly ready to fly, we lay out the weapons, and we track the American posture that frames the next move. Stay with military force because the next 2 minutes set the board for everything that follows. This incident began as a close flyby in international waters, and it quickly turned into a legal message. Two Venezuelan F-16 approached the USS Jason Dunham, a U.S. destroyer on patrol in the Caribbean, and the Pentagon called the move highly provocative. No damage was done. Yet the choice to pass close to a warship was designed to be seen. It said that Caracas is present, alert, and willing to press the edge of the rules. It also invited a reply that stays firm but measured. The legal frame matters because it sets the limits for every move that follows. International waters lie beyond the 12 nautical mile territorial sea, and ships there may operate without asking permission. An exclusive economic zone gives a coastal state rights to resources, but it does not give control over foreign warships that sail or exercise navigation. The United States, like many navies, treats these lanes as open to lawful military activity, and it signals that view by steady presence and clear radio calls. When Washington says the destroyer was operating legally, it is not only defending a single ship, it is defending a principle that protects sea trade, patrol routes, and crisis response. The facts also fit a pattern that raises risk even when nobody fires a shot. Reports said this was the second close pass within 48 hours, which suggests a test of reactions rather than a one-off. Risk grows when fighters dip lower, carry live weapons, or lock sensors for too long, and it falls when crews keep altitude, hold standard spacing, and speak on open channels. Bridges and cockpits watch the same signals. How close, how fast, and with what intent. A single misread can turn a signal into an accident, and an accident can turn into a crisis. For Washington, the answer is to pair law with posture. Legal clarity explains why the ship was there. Visible presence explains how the crew will stay there. Calm voices on the radio reduce friction, while layered defenses on the ship keep the crew safe if a pass turns unsafe. For Caracas, a dramatic flyby shows resolve at little cost, yet it carries real danger if timing or judgment slips. This is why the next step is to look at the aircraft themselves, because capability and limits shape behavior. Next, we break down Venezuela's F-16s, their sensors, and what they can do at the ranges that matter. Venezuela's F-16s are early Block 15 jets, and that baseline shapes what they can and cannot do. These airframes are light and agile, so they turn fast and climb well, yet their sensors and weapons are from an older era. They were built for close-in fights, not for long-range duels, and that pushes pilots towards short, risky runs instead of clean shots from far away. The radar is the core limit because Block 15 jets carry an older set like the APG-66 family. It works for basic search and short-range targeting, but it does not match the range, resolution, or clutter rejection of modern AESA radars on newer F-16. You can find contact, yet you may lose it in ground clutter or weather, and you may struggle to sort two targets flying close together. When the picture is thin, pilots must get closer, and closer means less time to react and more stress on the crew. Avionics and data links also lag behind current Western standards. Modern F-16s in the US and Europe use Link 16 networks, helmet sights, and advanced mission computers, so the pilot sees a fused map of the fight. Older Block 15 jets often fly with simpler displays and limited networking, which means target data arrives slower and with fewer layers to confirm it. A pilot can still do the job, but it takes more head-down time, more radio calls, and tighter formation work to keep the picture solid. Weapons push the story in the same direction. These F-16s typically carry short-range, heat-seeking missiles like older AIM-9 variants or Israeli Python types, plus bombs and rocket pods for ground attack. Those tools hit hard at close range, and they punish slow or unaware targets, yet they offer little reach against a guarded opponent. There is limited evidence of modern beyond visual range missiles on this fleet, and without those, the jet must press in to make a shot. Closing distance can work against transports or helicopters, but it is far riskier against fighters with better radars or ships with layered air defenses. Flight performance still matters, and here the F-16's DNA helps. The jet is nimble at low and medium altitudes, it accelerates well, and it can use terrain to mask its approach. A clever crew can time a pop-up, fire a short-range missile, and dive out before a defender reacts. But even a good pop-up is a knife-edge move when the other side has long-range sensors, airborne patrols, or surface radars feeding a bigger picture. Speed buys seconds, not safety, if the sensors on the other side see first and shoot first. Targeting pods and precision weapons are another gap. Modern F-16s carry sniper or lightning pods for clean day-night identification and guided strikes, while early fleets often rely on simpler solutions. Without a modern pod, pilots need better weather, steadier lighting, and more passes to confirm a target, which adds exposure and time in the threat ring. Guided bombs reduce that risk, yet they depend on the pod or a strong off-board queue, and both are harder to guarantee on older jets. Electronic warfare completes the picture. Newer F-16s use updated warning receivers, towed decoys, and programmable jammers. Older sets give basic alerts but fewer tricks to break a lock. A pilot who hears the tone must maneuver now, not later, and that urgency limits options for teamwork and weapons employment. You can still win the close fight with timing and surprise, but you enter it with fewer tools to shape the terms. All of this means the Block 15 can still make a loud statement, yet it must live in a short-range world where timing is tight and margins are thin. These limits grow sharper when you look at how many jets are truly ready and how often they fly. And that is the next question we need to answer. Venezuela's F-16 fleet is small, and its readiness is fragile. The Air Force bought 24 jets in the 1980s, yet open sources suggest only about a dozen are flyable on a good day, and the number shifts with parts and weather. Some aircraft sit in hangars for inspections, while others provide spares for the rest, so the flight line changes week to week. Maintenance is the main break, and older airframes need time. Every F-16 runs through a ladder of checks from the flight line to deeper depot work, and each step demands tools, trained crews, and certified parts. Aging jets require more frequent inspections on wings, landing gear, hydraulics, and flight control actuators, so a routine fix can turn into a longer stand-down. Engines add another timer because hot climates stress turbines and shorten cycles, and when a module is overdue, the jet stays grounded. Supply chains make the picture harder. Sanctions, licensing limits, and cash flow narrow access to original components, so units rely on repair shops, third-country brokers, or parts reclaimed from retired airframes. This keeps some jets alive, but it raises risk and reduces confidence in the schedule, since each item must pass tests before crews trust it in the air. Even simple consumables like tires, batteries, or ejection seat cartridges can hold up a sortie when stocks run thin. Avionics maintenance is a steady challenge. Radar sets, radios, and navigation boxes use older cards, and technicians need test benches and manuals to fault isolate small failures. If one module is missing or out of tolerance, the jet may be safe to fly, but it may not be mission-ready for a night intercept or a low-level run over water. Crews adapt with daytime training and short events near base, which saves hours and reduces strain on the fleet. The climate pushes costs higher and shortens service life. Heat and humidity drive corrosion, so technicians spend more time on sealants, wiring, and bay covers, and they must replace clamps and hoses before leaks grow. Salt air near coastal bases speeds rust on fasteners and panels, and once corrosion gets ahead of the schedule, it takes extra man-hours to recover. Each hour of flight can demand many hours of maintenance, and that ratio grows as the fleet ages. Pilot proficiency depends on flight hours, and readiness affects training. When jets are scarce, leaders protect airframes by flying shorter profiles, and they rely more on simulators and ground rehearsals. This keeps skills alive, but it cannot replace complex drills that need multiple aircraft, airborne controllers, or tanker support. Lower hours mean slower turnarounds in combat tasks, and that shows up in cautious tactics and brief displays of presence. The Su-30 Mk2 offers more range and payload, yet its readiness also swings. Twin engines and larger systems demand more spares and more fuel, and the supply of unique Russian components is not always steady. As a result, the F-16 remains the visible workhorse because it is simpler to crew and cheaper to turn, even if it is not the most modern fighter on the ramp. Commanders can field a pair quickly for a patrol or a signal, but sustaining a larger package for days is harder and risks burning through scarce parts. Operational effects flow from these limits. Sorties cluster in short windows, and gaps appear while crews inspect, refuel, and search for items. This shapes strategy, because leaders pick moments that maximize political effect while minimizing wear on the fleet. Next, we look at the weapons these jets carry and how armament choices push them toward close ranges where every second counts. Venezuela's F-16s lean on short-range weapons, so their best shots come up close. The core air-to-air load is heat-seeking missiles like older Sidewinder or Python types, plus the internal 20mm gun. These missiles hunt hot exhaust and work best within visual range, which means the pilot must see the target, point the nose, and hold a steady cue. Against a careful opponent, that window is small, and it closes fast when the other side turns hard or adds flares. Range is the main limit in a modern fight. Newer fighters use beyond visual range missiles, guided by powerful radars and data links, but there is little public evidence that this fleet carries similar long-reach options. Without that reach, the crew must press in and manage angles, speed, and timing under more stress. Helmet-mounted sights help in the merge, yet older sets are not as smooth as current Western kits, so the shot still demands clean geometry and short reaction time. Air-to-ground weapons tell the same story. Typical loads include unguided bombs and rocket pods that depend on the pilot's aim and a clear view. You can hit a fixed site with a fast, low pass, but you must fly straight long enough for a stable release, and that adds exposure. Precision kits reduce risk, yet they need targeting pods or strong off-board cues, and those tools are not widely seen on this fleet. Bad weather, haze, or sea glare make identification harder, and rules of engagement require positive confirmation before release. A ship attack is even tougher. A destroyer watches the sky with long-range radar, shares tracks with other units, and layers defenses from far to near. Approach profiles that use low altitude and sea clutter can hide a jet for a few moments, but they compress time and force a tight pull-up to drop bombs or fire rockets. That pull-up exposes the aircraft to missiles and guns, while the egress crosses more sensors that can cue a second shot. Survival improves with multi-ship tactics, jamming, and decoys, yet each extra jet risks the same wall of fire. Countermeasures add a last line of help, but not a shield. Flares can break a heat seeker's lock, and chaff can confuse simple radar cues. However, modern defenses sort those tricks better each year. Electronic warning receivers give a tone when a threat lights up, but older suites offer fewer options to blind or seduce the missile after launch. At that moment, the only answer is energy, altitude, and luck. So the weapons fit the message more than the duel. They let Caracas stage short, loud passes that show presence, yet they do not change the math against layered defenses. Now, we turn to the U.S. posture in the area and see how destroyers, a missile cruiser, a submarine, and F-35s shape the rules of the next move. Washington answered with law and power at the same time. The statement was simple. The destroyer operated legally in international waters, and Venezuela should not interfere. That message set the rules, but posture made the point. U.S. commanders backed words with ships, aircraft, and Marines positioned to react fast and stay calm under pressure. Sea power carries the main load in this theater. Arleigh Burke-class destroyers run continuous patrols, share a common air picture, and protect each other with layered defenses. Close by, the cruiser Lake Erie adds more long-range missiles and a larger command suite, which strengthens area air defense for the whole group. Below the surface, a nuclear submarine adds reach and uncertainty, because nobody can see where it waits or what it is tracking. Together, these pieces create depth. Detection at range, interception in the mid-layer, and last-ditch guns if a threat breaks through. Air power closes the gaps that ships cannot cover alone. F-35s based in Puerto Rico can launch on short notice, climb fast, and take combat air patrol over key lanes. Their sensors scan far beyond the horizon, and their data links feed tracks back to ships, which improves timing and cuts confusion. Rotations keep a pair airborne while another pair taxis, so coverage stays steady even when weather turns. If an unexpected contact appears, controllers can push a fighter forward and hold others in reserve. Maritime forces matter, but Marines change the equation on land. The 22nd Marine Expeditionary Unit trains as a self-contained team with infantry, aviation, and logistics in one package. Its ships, an amphibious assault ship and 2 transport docks, carry helicopters, tilt rotors, landing craft, and vehicles for rapid tasks. They can secure a pier, guard a consulate, or move a small force ashore to protect a key site. Exercises in southern Puerto Rico put this group close to the likely problem set, which shortens travel time and raises readiness without crossing any legal lines. Deterrence works best when forces are visible but disciplined. Bridges keep hails clear on the radio, pilots hold standard spacing, and captains log every step of a planned intercept. This reduces friction and leaves a record if claims arise later. At the same time, combat systems stay hot, because warning time at sea can shrink to seconds. Crew drills, alert conditions, and practiced handovers prevent panic if a pass becomes unsafe. Escalation control is part of the design. The first rung is presence, then escort, then a firm turnaway order, and only later come non-lethal measures or hard stops. By keeping each rung distinct, commanders lower the odds of a sudden jump. This mix of law, ships, jets, and Marines sends a steady message without a shot. It protects freedom of navigation, it reassures partners, and it narrows room for miscalculation. The goal is not a fight, The goal is a lane that stays open while both sides keep talking. From here, the question turns to timing and intent, because the next move will show whether this remains a display or slides toward a test of force. The takeaway is simple. This standoff is a contest in signaling and restraint, not a countdown to blows. Power matters, yet judgment matters more when pilots and captains read each other at high speed. The side that keeps communications clear and timing disciplined will shape the lane without firing. Strategy now hinges on thresholds that everyone understands but nobody wants to cross. A third close pass, a sensor lock that lingers, or armed escorts would move us up the ladder. De-escalation is just as visible. Standard spacing, clean radio calls, and patrols that announce intentions. Law still sets the floor, because open seas enable trade, aid, and crisis response for the whole region. Presence sets the ceiling, because depth at sea and reach in the air deter mistakes. The practical test is endurance. Who can sustain patrols, steady logistics, and calm crews over weeks? That contest decides influence long before headlines shout incidents. Watch the tempo, not the noise, and you will see the balance tilt in real time. For clear updates on strategy and hardware, subscribe to Military Force and stay with us.